Ladies and gentlemen, what is all of this commotion about Caleb Williams? Do the Carolina Panthers actually have a chance going into the next season? What are my thoughts on MLB The Show 24 after playing it for a week? Find out all that plus much more on another episode of Wyatt Just Talks About Everything. However, before we begin, you guys know I gotta run through my plugs, so don't forget to use code WyattzWorld on G Fuel or Prize Picks. G Fuel, you'll save a discount on any of their products. Prize Picks, you'll match up to $100 of your first deposit. If you haven't tried baseball, I recommend it. Strikeouts are pretty easy to navigate sometimes. However, always play responsibly, and let's get into the video. Alright, so first off, we are going to talk about Caleb Williams because everybody's been talking about Caleb Williams for like the last 4 days, ever since he was shown on TV at that basketball game. So basically what's been going on with Caleb Williams is there's been just a lot of commotion about his personality, sexuality, how he dresses, the clothes he wears, this and that. As you can see at the picture of him in the basketball game, he was shown with a pink phone case and a pink wallet. I guess he wears fingernail polish. Some say he wears lipstick. I don't know about any of this. Half the pictures I see of him, I feel like people are editing his lips to like look red and his fingernails at this point. Like people are just trying to attack him. I think two things about the entire situation. One, who cares? Two, feeding into it is just a way to get yourself in trouble. It's 2024. Like people are gonna dress and express themselves however they want. As far as him being gay, which a lot of people are accusing him of now, I mean, for one, I don't know. Two, I don't care. Three, if that was Seth Rollins in the crowd, everyone would be calling him the GOAT for it. If you're asking me, he's just one of those guys that are flashy and he happened to get seen on TV and the internet blew it extremely out of proportion. Next up, I would like to give a little bit of attention to something I call the Pro Day Blues. Some of you guys probably already know what this is, but Zach Wilson is the best example I can think of. Remember that awesome, iconic throw he had on Pro Day? The one people wouldn't shut up about, the one that essentially got him picked so early? Moral of the story here, don't fall for Pro Day. You know, it's cool to see these guys sling the rock, but they are in a completely different situation than they would be in an NFL game. Like, yeah, sure, we're seeing armed talent. Take it with a grain of salt, man. Come to think of it, didn't Justin Fields also do some crazy stuff on his pro day? And not that I don't think he can be good one day, but look where he is right now. Look at his career so far. There is a massive difference between having a 300-pound man sprinting at you while making a play and just having all the time in the world. Moving on to our next subject, we are going to briefly talk about the draft because the little bit that I know about drafting, and I mean the little bit, is that the draft day smokescreen is a very real thing, meaning pretty much anything you hear from inside sources about teams from now until the NFL draft is absolute bullshit. It's a smokescreen. Teams are never, ever, ever, ever gonna let you know what they're gonna do. And if they do, they're idiots. Like, yeah, you can have a pretty good indication of like the first 2 or 3 picks of a draft, but oftentimes after 2 or 3, it falls apart. I've actually heard of teams leaking fake info before. I think teams probably do it all the time if I'm being real. Like anything you hear that's inside sources, anything you hear from a GM themselves, anything, it's not honest. And if it is, then it's the stupidest organization of all time because this is a chess match between 32 people. Up next, I just want to give my thoughts on the Carolina Panthers after this offseason because they've definitely made some moves and some good ones. I mean, we're looking at Deontay Johnson, Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, DJ Wanham, Dane Jackson, Jordan Fuller to replace Von Bell, and now they just signed Jadeveon Clowney, who was actually really good last year for Baltimore. Like, if I gotta be 100% smack dab real with you, do I think they're a playoff team? No. But I wouldn't be shocked if right now they got 6-7 wins this year. And also, as much as I despise the Brian Burns move when it happened, they were definitely able to pick up a lot more pieces without paying him. So I understand why they did it, you know? They're close right now to, I think, being a team that can actually fight for a wild card spot. And who knows, we still got a lot more offseason to go and an entire draft ahead of us. But they are doing a lot of good stuff. All right, next up, we're going to be taking a peek at a graph of the best win percentage in NFL histories for a quarterback with 50 career starts or more. And I know wins aren't exactly a quarterback stat, but this graph is interesting because when it's all said and done, I think we'll notice something. So this is actually a list of 1 through 25, but I just don't want to show you guys everybody at once. So just looking at the top 5 positions in NFL history, or not positions, but places. Otto Graham is 1. Darryl, I can't even read that from here, is number 2. Pat Mahomes is number 3 at 77%. Tom Brady's at 4, Lamar is at 5. And then dropping to 6 through 10 in order, we've got Roger Staubach, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Jim McMahon, Jimmy Garoppolo with 68.3. Thanks, Kyle Shanahan. Then we'll drop down to 11 through 15 where we have Josh Allen, tied with Terry Bradshaw, then Danny White, Frank Ryan, and Ben Roethlisberger. 16 through 20, we have Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers, Ken Stabler, Steve Young, David Woodley. 1 through 25, we have Johnny Unitas, Charlie Cornerly, probably saying a lot of these wrong, Pat Hayden, John Elway, and Dak Prescott at 64. So anyway, what I was kind of noticing after looking at this is that, yeah, okay, wins aren't exactly a quarterback stat. However, nearly everybody on this top 25 list are elite quarterbacks, or people who I think are elite. Like, honestly, the only guy in here off the top of my head from looking is Jimmy G. That's an obvious outlier. Some people are gonna hate on Dak, but I like Dak. As much as wins aren't a quarterback stat, they definitely do relate to being an elite quarterback, I believe, in some capacity. All right, now moving on to some baseball stuff. First off, Colorado. You guys are done. You gotta go. You cannot start a season off like this. Like, seriously, you need to go. And I know there's 162 games in a season. You know, don't get too down on yourself. I myself tweeted that. But you guys, you lost by 15 runs, and 14 of them came in 1 inning in your opening game. The attendance is going to be legendarily low at Coors Field this summer. All right, now moving on, I'm going to be ranking my top 5 MLB stadiums as far as backdrops go. And I'm talking, you know, the scenery behind the outfield. If you're sitting on the baseline or behind home plate, these are the top 5 stadiums for the viewer's eye. So coming in at number 5, we got Oracle Park, home of the San Francisco Giants. I think this stadium is incredibly unique. Right on the ocean, right on the bay. Majority of the home runs that get hit out of here end up landing in the ocean where people in kayaks will go and get them. When the sun starts to set, you see all the yachts and stuff in the background. Like, it's not just a huge city, which there's nothing wrong with, by the way, but it's different. It's just a gigantic ocean. Moving on to number 4, we got Target Field, home of the Minnesota Twins. Boo, I know, I'm a homer for saying that. Tell me this isn't a good looking ballpark. Tell me that's not a pleasing backdrop. Especially when the sun sets, dude. Like, the stadium is still relatively new. It's clean, it's well kept, and I think the Minneapolis skyline in the background really just ties it together because it shows where this stadium truly is, and that is dead center in the middle of a city. I love Target Field. Number 3, give me Busch Gardens, home of the St. Louis Cardinals. I feel like this is a really slept on stadium, and a lot of people hate it, but I love it. I've always liked that big hoop in the background. It makes it look futuristic almost to me, like we're playing in the Jetsons era. There's just a lot going on, you know? You got a ton of buildings, a ton of structures. And I actually think the color concept of the Cardinals really pops out with that skyline too. You know, the red and then there's the blue and white behind it because of all the buildings. It's cool. Coming in at number 2, we got PNC Park. Now, this one technically is on the water too, just like the Bay one, so it's unique in that way, but you don't really think of the water right away. You think of the beautiful bridge and skyline in the background. I guess if you're sitting higher up, you'll get to see more of the water, but nonetheless, the water just adds to the effect that this is one of the most beautiful looking stadiums in the MLB right now. If you're asking me, it is almost impossible to design a backdrop better than this, except for the one that would be Petco Park, home of the San Diego Padres. This is ridiculous. I don't want to know how much they had to pay, but to get the literal backdrop of the stadium to be the San Diego skyline, it was worth whatever it was. I would love to be a catcher there. Are you kidding me? You get to stare at that for 81 games a season? Beautiful. And now, capping off today's video, I'm just gonna give my short and sweet review of MLB The Show 24. So after 1 week of playing it, MLB The Show tallies an official Wyatt's World score of 7 out of 10. It's baseball, it's MLB The Show. I haven't bought in the game since Tatis was on the front cover, and I think that was 21? And I don't notice a difference in gameplay, really. Is that a bad thing? No, because I always thought the game was actually pretty good. I just think after a while it gets boring. Now, one thing I would say that would significantly improve this game's playability for the casual player is the reintroduction of season mode. It's been gone for like 5 years now, and they have no excuse as to why they got rid of it. Season mode let you have custom length seasons. You could have 29 game seasons with 5 inning games, you know, like something manageable to play. That's been taken out. Now you are forced to play all 162, and even though they did kind of implement something this year where you can shorten it down by only playing fewer games, you're still playing an entire baseball season. You're still not getting to record all of your statistics. Half of it's being simulated, and it infuriates me. Like, why? Just bring it back. But aside from that, and the freeze glitch online that's been here for 4 years that they still haven't fixed, the game's fine. Like I said, 7 out of 10. Should you buy it? Well, do you like baseball? Because then you probably like it. If you don't like baseball, then I wouldn't recommend it. That's a wrap. All right, folks, that is all I got for today's video, though. If you guys liked it, you guys already know how to show support, and I appreciate any of it. With everything I just said, though, I'm going to get this edited so you guys can watch it on time and get a head start to your weekend. I hope you have a fun and safe weekend. And as always, I will see you in the next upload.